Welcome back to the Daily Wrap. I'm Carl Higbee, filling in for Joe Contra. Yesterday marked the one-year anniversary of the shooting death of Michael Brown by Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson. He was acquitted for any wrongdoing which set the town into chaos. Buildings were burned to the ground, looting and violence was a daily occurrence. Even though Officer Wilson was found not guilty, the DOJ under Eric Holder determined that it was nearly every aspect of Ferguson's law enforcement system, African Americans were impacted severely and disproportionately. During that time, during what started as a peaceful protest to mark the anniversary, the situation got out of control when violent chants and looting occurred.
We ready for war! We ready for war! We ready for war! We ready for what? We ready for war! We ready for what? We ready for war! 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 We ready for war!
What happened next was totally unexpected.
And we just want to be as patient as possible.
Message to those who are looting.
Not gunfire.
Hey guys, cover! Cover, guys. Come back over.
St. Louis County Police Chief John Belmar explains what happened when unmarked officers were following a suspect.
An individual that they have been tracking crosses the street. He gets all the way to the shoulder. They think at the time that he probably gathers himself and he's going to go back across the street. They turn out in an SUV. It's an unmarked SUV, but it has interior red and blue lights that are illuminated when they come out. The suspect engages them with gunfire almost right at the grill of the car. Strike the hood. I don't know if you've seen pictures of it yet. 3 or 4 times. Strike the windshield, I think 4 or 5 times. The plainclothes detectives return fire.
Heather, I mean, they said that they have to separate the protesters, the good protesters from the bad protesters. How do you tell the difference?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's going to be a very difficult thing to do. So in the LA Times today, a Democratic committee woman who's been active in the protests said that there's many people now who are taking advantage of the protest to use whatever beef they have to go after one another. I mean, this has turned into something that is disparaging what the protesters are trying to do. And I don't know how you separate the two.
And the issue here is that when is the community going to start policing itself? That's what we need to ask the people of Ferguson, Tom.
Well, I think there are. I think there are a number of peaceful protesters, but then they're the professional disruptors, and I think that's what you have to worry about, people hijacking the whole situation. But one of the biggest problems from the beginning was this whole hands up, don't shoot, that Michael Brown was assassinated while trying to surrender was a lie, and the DOJ came out with that. It was a lie. That needs to be advertised. Sadly, a lot of people in the black community still believe it's true, and now we have the whole hands up, don't shoot movement. Right. That's threatening to do a lot of bad things.
Yeah, you're right, and it was a lie, and as you say, the DOJ confirmed it was a lie, and they certainly, if there was going to be a bias, it wasn't going to be in the other direction. But you know what I get concerned about? There were a few very legitimate gripes. One of them is that the city government was using the courts to raise money for the city by policing the black community, charging them with things that were small so they'd have to write bigger checks. While some things in Ferguson have changed to the better ever since last year, we do know that that process hasn't stopped. And that's where you need to see, if these protesters were smart, they'd focus, say, hey, here are the numbers. Here are the numbers. You're taking advantage of our community. You got to stop that.
Right. Well, there's this. What is it that they want? You know, and that's the thing. I don't know, Rick, that necessarily everyone who's protesting even knows that hasn't changed to the right degree. I mean, they're just out there to protest. I think that at this point, we finally are starting to see a turn in the other direction, where you've got our Attorney General Loretta Lynch actually stepping out and strongly condemning what's going on here. Not the protesters, obviously, but the violence. Right. And that's a lot different than what we saw with Eric Holder. It's time for people to continue to have conversations, to talk about those issues, because those issues are important ones. But what's going on here, violence and
this is one of the problems we've seen in every protest, and in situations where a black person has been killed by a police officer. It is so easily derailed to the wrong issues. And the media, which we're part of, we feed that beast because it makes for better headlines and gets better ratings. And that's a shame because typically there are legitimate grievances and they don't always get
addressed. But Tom, quickly, how does this help? How does looting and burning their own city help that?
Oh, it doesn't. It really has perverse backfires, really. Everything goes the wrong direction. What you really need is strong black leaders to come up and say, no, people within their own community, the ministers, we need to keep Sharpton out and have the local ministers, the local black leaders stand up.
See, this is where you and I can agree. I feel the same way about Al Sharpton as you do.
I think they're just like igniting the fire.
Yeah,
and
to their own personal
until
benefits.
they do that, things are not going to get better.
I agree.
But share your thoughts on last night's violent protests in Ferguson. Go to newsmaxtv.com/comments and let us know. Up next, we're going to read some of your viewer comments here. Don't go anywhere. Rick will be here as well, and he will help us read them out.
I'll be here. I promise.
In case I can't read them. We're back.